What made you realize the relationship was over? When I got a Facebook message from another dude saying, "Your wife is cheating on us." He thought we had one of those open relationships. I once Googled, "How do you know when a relationship is over?" and the top suggestion was, "You Google it." He kept breaking up with me and then making up with me. Broke up with me on my birthday. Because he wasn't getting my undivided attention as my best friend was there. Called me for 6 months after trying to get back with me. Called me a fucking weasel. His family still tries to reach out over 11 years later. I'd lost most of my friends. My anxiety was always getting triggered. She yelled and screamed at me every day for 2 years, and when the beatings started, I realized the last good week we had was when we got married. Did therapy and got myself back on track. Now I'm dating my best friend and she makes me feel like a king. When I was crying more than laughing. Constant hurt and confusion. Didn't feel like the love was reciprocated. When I found sexts between her and my friend. When I finally learned to listen to her actions, not her words. I realized that I wouldn't care if he cheated on me and would have been quite happy if he left me for someone else. I felt trapped and didn't know how to leave at the time. When I realized, I only smiled, laughed and had fun when he wasn't around. When he was, I walked on eggshells so he wouldn't get mad. Edit. Wow. I'm surprised and a little saddened that this has gotten so many responses. If your situation is similar, from either perspective, there's no shame in walking away. Prioritize yourself and your mental health to help put you in a healthier situation. My ex, who was a major control freak, worked for an attorney. As a tool to get her way, she would prepare divorce papers and bring them home. The third time she pulled this, I signed him and made her file them. Game over. When her sister called me and said, "You're a really nice guy and I like you. Remember Jason?" "You do?" "Yeah. Well, she's fucking him in the other room as we speak." That's pretty much when I knew. When I started fantasizing about what it would be like to be completely alone. He made me feel more lonely while we're together than if I were to be single. She told me I should be happy my dad died because I got an inheritance. The night he told me that I was no longer allowed to drive anywhere by myself, that he would keep the keys and I would have to ask him to drive me places so he knew where I was going and who I was with. I was gone the next day after 16 years. Edit. Wow. Never. Ever thought anyone would even read what I posted. I am tearing up right now from the support. When I decided to not text her to see if she would ever start a conversation. And did not text me for an entire month. She used me to move in together, promising to help pay bills and clean the house. Then after we moved in together, she never paid any of the bills or cleaned the house and I lost all my savings because of it. She told me to get the fuck out and never speak to her again. I started anti-anxiety meds and my ex-husband immediately wanted me to get off of them because I started seeing his emotional manipulation for what it was. Instead of getting caught up in the anxiety and just quietly going along with whatever he wanted. To make it easier, he would get me all riled up on purpose and then turn around and say that I'm unstable because how can I react like that after he just spent like 30 minutes doing the most juvenile stuff to get me to that point. I mean, like put hands over his ears and go, la la la. Tell me to calm my tits after he did something either neglectful or hurtful. He would belittle my feelings and tell me to deal with it because nothing's going to change. Before my meds I would just basically just be the okay face meme. Once I was on my meds, I stopped reacting the way he wanted me to, and he kept getting angrier and angrier. He kept escalating his manipulation until one day, after a fight of him telling me how badly he wanted to leave me again. Usually he starts calling apartments in front of me while I sob for him not to break up the family. I told him go if he's so desperate to leave. I went out to dinner with my dad and I came back to the house full of boxes and him locked in the room. I didn't talk to him because I knew this was another manipulation tactic to try and get me to cry. I didn't cry, instead I called my mom and asked if I can come sleep over there. He drove me because he said that if I took the car this wasn't going to work, which obviously meant him leaving. Right before we got to my mom's, he flat out said that he has an apartment in a different state 12 hours away from my family and any sort of support I could have, and asked if I was coming with him or not. I said no. He said then goodbye, threw everything out of the car onto the driveway of my mom's house and screeched out. He left at 5 a.m. the next morning and I didn't accept any of his calls or texts for a week. When I finally did, he had the nicest tone on, telling me that he never left me and that this was a business trip that we had talked about. Again, if I was off my meds I might have believed him and doubted my own sanity. But I knew for a fact we had not talked about it, and all of his actions the night before proved otherwise. Also, he stole my computer. To this day he blames my medicine for why our relationship is broken. In a way he's right. My medicine was the only way I was able to see the abuse for what it was.